Hey everyone, I'm Anurag from Locofy. In this video, we will be creating a full stack blog app using the Prismic CMS and Locofy in Next.js framework. By the end of this video, you will learn not only how to convert your blog designs into pixel perfect high quality code using Locofy, but also how to extend it using Prismic CMS, making it into a fully functional blog app. Let's get started. For this video, we will be recreating the official blogs app of Locofy, which was created using the Locofy plugin in Figma and the Prismic CMS. We will be using this design file in Figma and converting it into pixel perfect high quality code using the Locofy plugin, and then we will dynamically populate it with Prismic CMS. Let me quickly introduce you to the Locofy plugin. So you can right click anywhere, then click on plugin, then click on Locofy. So immediately you will notice two widgets over here, tag layers, which is the most important feature of Locofy, and drag and drop pre-built components. This widget allows us to rapidly build our apps by providing us with a set of pre-built UI components that we can quickly drag and drop into our design files. Since we already have our design files ready over here, we can focus on tagging it. Let me explain what tagging is. Tagging allows us to convert our design into working components. To understand it better, we should preview this file in the Locofy plugin app to see what the file will look before tagging. So even before configuring anything, we can see that instantly the plugin has generated a preview for us for this design file, which is pixel perfect. However, you will notice that our input and button fields going to work. So with this tagging widget, we can tell our Locofy plugin that this is the input field and this is a button which right now it only sees as rectangles. So let us quickly tag these designs. Let's start with buttons. So let's start with the subscribe button. Let me select this. You see common tags that we can use over here. So we want to make this a button. So we will select this. Since it is already designed, we don't need a UI library for it. We can select none. As you can see, we can add some basic attributes such as disabled, as well as some advanced attributes over here. We can also add hover effects as well as some actions. So let us add a few hover effects and actions. So by clicking on styling and layout, you can see we have a hover option over here. Let's click it. So for hover, I want the color to change. Let's make it a different color. For action, I want this to open a new page. So basically, whenever somebody clicks on it, some action has to be taken. We have multiple action available over here, such as scrolling to view, change page, open URL, etc. Let's choose open URL. So you can see we can enter the URL over here, and we also have an option to open it in a new tab. Now, after this, let us also tag the input field. So click on it, choose input. Again, we have this design, so we don't need a UI library for it. Let's select none. And we already have a placeholder here, so I want to add a placeholder. So I want to add enter your email. Now that we have tagged our input and button fields, let us preview the changes. So you can see over here, right now the input field is active, and we also have our hover effect, and when I click on it, it opens up our page. So we have a few more buttons over here, such as Locofy home and sign up button, as well as continue reading button. But we can, for this, we can use the auto tag with LocoAI feature. So basically, Locofy also uses artificial intelligence to scan these design files and suggest tags for our design. Let us see how it works. Okay, so it has successfully detected all the buttons and we can accept all of the changes. Okay, let's select none and done. For all of these things, we already have the designs ready. We are just selecting none over here. None. And now that this is done, we can go to preview. And now you see our cursor changes to a pointer, which means that it has been successfully turned into a button. So using LocoAI, you can quickly tag your designs as well. So the next thing we want to work upon is responsiveness, which is crucial for any website. So using the Locofy plugin, we can use various breakpoints, and depending upon the breakpoint, we can adjust our layout and our design. So let's see a preview right now. We notice that it is not at all responsive right now, and there are some major issues, as we can see over here. So let us quickly make this design responsive. Let us start with the email call to action. So for email call to action, we can select this, then we can choose to edit it, then go to style. Over here, we can see that we have various breakpoints, 1200, 768, and so on, as well as we can create our own. So for this, I want it to work on the media query of 1080. So let's select this. So for 1080 pixels, I want the direction of it to be going down. So we select this. So when it is down, the text will be on the number one icon over here, followed by this frame, which comprises of input field and buttons. So we want them to take full width as well. So let's choose input. Let's go to style. Over here, select init key, and I'll add a prop CSS property. Make it 100%. Let's preview it right now. So this is default, and when we hit 100, it is working like awesome. However, for 100, we also want this to take the entire full width over here. So for this, we can select the upper component over here. Then go and do the same for this one as well. So we go to 1080 and we make it with 100%. Now let us preview it again. Right, this looks much better. So we can see this is quite responsive. However, for breakpoint below 680, I also want the button to be below the input field and have 100% width as well. So let us close the preview. Let's go to button, go more, select 680. So this is 680 pixels. Over here, we want the width to be 100%. Again, and also since we want this to be vertical, we select the upper component. We go to 680, and for this, we can select this. Now when we preview it, this looks much more responsive and better. So let me just show. Awesome. So now we can also work on categories over here. So right now, if you see, they are overflowing. To fix this, we can use flex wrap. So now let us work on categories. Let me select it and select the categories. Again, we go into styling and layout. For this, we can choose 1200. Let us add a property, flex wrap. So Locofy is already suggesting us all the valid values for this property. Let us select wrap. Now let's preview it. Awesome. Similarly, we can use flex wrap for these 3 block cards as well. So let us quickly do that. Let me close this. So we have 3 block arcs over here. For this also we can go to 1200 and choose a flex wrap. So you can see this is also very responsive. So in a similar fashion, we can make all of these responsive. So now that we are done with our design files, we are now ready to convert it into production ready code. But before we jump into the Locofy builder to edit and export the code, it is important for us now to first make sure that our files are named correctly. So over here you see that I have went ahead and I have named our frames appropriately. It does not have to be super elaborate. It can be something that just makes the frame understand its purpose. This will help us later on when we export the code because the component names are derived from this. So now that we are ready with this, we can select the frame. So we can select both of the frames. Then we can select view code in builder. So within a few seconds, Locofy has generated a code. Now this is the Locofy builder. Welcome. Locofy builder is a natural transition between design and production ready code. So I know a lot of things are happening right now. We get a lot of buttons. So let me cover everything from left to right. So from the left side, we see we have a similar layers over here as well. And with a single click, we can see what type of tags each frame has been assigned. So over here, we can now realize the importance of naming our files over in the Figma because the files convention has been followed here as well. So over the top, you can see we can add a member. So this makes a collaboration easy. We also have option to check all the responsiveness. So we have 1200, 768, 428 and even more breakpoints. Then we also can create high fidelity prototypes and we can also quickly share them. So using a public link, I'm just going to paste it and now we are sharing the prototype. So as you can see, this is the prototype and this runs on live code as well. Now let us go back. After this, we can see the prototype that is generated is also using high quality code. Now we need to make sure that our code is able to work with the Prismic data that comes to it. So in a Locofy builder, we need to create components. We need to convert every card and every particular section of this design into components that can digest CMS data through the use of props. So let's turn feature block into a component. So we already have info and image over here, as you can see. So to make it a component, we can go over to our right side and under components, we can click this button. So again, click create. Now we can add all the appropriate props that we expect our CMS to provide for us. Otherwise, the default values such as continue rigging or 3-minute rig will be used. So over here, let us name our property title. Similarly, let us also add all the other properties that we want our CMS to provide, such as description. Then we also want author name and author picture. So this should be author name. Then we want the release date as well. Now this is the category, the design to code. So now we also need the image. So let's name it as cover image. Now that we are done with this, we can similarly make other components as well. So let me show you the editor card. We can also reuse components, which I will also show over here. And similarly, we can also make categories into components. So for editor card also, I have created a component and now I will be adding various properties to it. Yeah. So this should be the title. Then we have our author name. Then next make this author image or author picture. Then we also have here our release date and category. So let's choose category. This should be the cover image. Now we can reuse the same component over here, which makes it very easy for digesting dynamic data or where there is a list of components that need to be similarly styled. So we can do the same for our categories as well as our category names. So as you can see, so I went ahead and I have created components for all the sections that we need. As you can see in the view code, that right now all the data is coming from different components. So Locofy has created a components folder and it has created all the components there and it is importing the components into our index file over here. Let's also make cop header a component and you can now see that now if we go, our cop header is also a component that is imported. So the code changes in real time as you edit it. So you get a good grasp of things. Now let us export it. So we can also select components and export single components which can be used in your projects, existing projects. But since we are creating a new project, let us select screen and components. Now let us export the file. Awesome. So now the zip file has been downloaded and we can export it. So now here you can see 3,700 lines of code has been generated. Usually to convert a Figma design into pixel perfect production ready code, it may take developer weeks, but using the Locofy plugin, we were able to generate high quality code in a matter of few hours. And the code that is generated is also highly extensible, which we will see in the later part of this video. Now let's jump into Prismic. Prismic is a special CMS that gives more freedom to developers and designers by allowing them to create on-brand pages using a drag and drop website builder-like experience. It does so by using reusable website section that it calls slices. So this is what a slice looks like. As you can see, you can simply rearrange them, and these are reusable website sections basically. However, the properties that each slice should accept are specified by the developer, and the end user can simply input all these properties in the Prismic dashboard. Simply rearranging the slices can give a unique feel to every website, as you can see, and it is really as simple as this example that you can find on the slice documentation provided by the Prismic team. Each slice also has JSON reflection. In the JSON, you can see that we have a data and in it we have a body with all of these different attributes which our slice should be able to parse. Now when we pass content over to our slice, like we specify for example title inside a slice, this is the place where it will basically be pushed to, and our slice should be able to get to it and read the data from over here. Now in our design file, we have different sections that we can see, and we want to turn each of these sections into slices. Now each slice should also be able to accept certain properties like title, For other slices such as Gig, we may need to pass in an array of blocks. Now, each of these things has to be specified at the development time using something called slice machine. Before we jump into slice machine, let us first see what is a custom type. A custom type is how in Prismic you define a structure for your document. A document can be anything. It is supposed to be a reflection of your website. So if you are creating a document, say for blog page, it will have blog name, author name, as well as all the other information relevant to your blog, such as category and cover image. It will also have a list of slices, and inside each custom type, you can arrange the slices. Then when you fetch them in your program, you will have all of this data present, and based on that, you can render it. Of course, we will be doing that in a later part of the video. Now that we have explained what is a custom type, we can move on to slice machine. A slice machine is also a custom type, and it allows us to build slices, variation of these slices, as well as custom types. One of the unique features of slice machine is that it is present inside your code base. So you have direct access to it, and to run it, you need to run a specific command, which we will look into it later. And that's why slice machine is called the local custom type. Now that we know what slice machine is and why it is used, now let's jump into Prismic and start coding. First step is to create a project in Prismic. So you can go to their website and sign up using this button. I have already made an account and I'm logging into it. So over here you see we can create new repositories, and we also have a list of the existing ones. So let's create a new one. Our framework is Next.js. Feel free to choose any other framework. Here, since we already have our framework and the source code exported using Locofy, we can choose a blank project, or you can also choose any of these Skarker projects provided by the Prismic team. Now let's name it. So I'll name it something like, make sure it is a unique name. Now click on create repository. Awesome. So now we are getting two commands over here. The first command installs the slice machine, which we just discussed inside our Next.js project, and also sets the repository to this blocks video repository that we have just created. And the second command runs the slice machine. So I'm copying these two commands over here, and now let us run it in our project. So now it is asking us to log in. You can press any key, and now this is logging. As you can see, it has detected our framework as well. And it has also created an SM.json file. SM.json file is basically a JSON file that carries minimum amount of configuration for your project. So you can see API endpoint over here. If you wish to have preview feature also enabled, you can add the preview URL here as well. It also has a list of libraries that it's supposed to be using. As you can see, the slice machine has been installed, and our second command, which was npm run slice machine, is also in action now, and it says that we can go over to our local host and see the slice machine in action. Awesome. So now it is asking us to create a custom type. We already discussed that custom types are nothing but structure for your documents. So let's create one. You can see we have two custom types over here. So a repeatable custom type is best for something that you want multiple copies of, such as blog posts, products, and so on. A single custom type is suitable for pages that you only want to have once in your entire project. Example of such pages are privacy policy page, about page, as well as a landing page. So let's create a single type and we will name it home page. Inside our page, you can see we have two different sections over here, static and slice zone. Right now we don't have any slices created, so this will be empty and it is asking us to create one. In the static zone, we can pass other sort of informations. As you can see over here, these are the fields that we can use inside our static zone. So for example, for this one, I just want to have a simple text and I'll call it something like the page title and I can add it. Similarly, you can specify other properties of your home page as well. For this page title, I will be using this as my meta title over here. So whatever I will input over here will be pasted over here. Of course, this is not a functionality that Prismic provides out of the box. It will only provide us with this page title, and we ourselves have to configure in our code how we want to digest this. For now, we need to save the changes that we make into our file system. Okay, now this is saved. Now we can go ahead and create a new slice. So we already defined that slices are nothing but reusable website sections, and a Prismic document can contain a bunch of these slices. So let's create one. So if we refer to our design file, the first slice that we want to create should be about feature block section. So let us name it feature block. As you can see, we have various fields over here. We can specify various fields inside the slice as well. For now, I won't be specifying anything, and let's just go into changes. Now in the changes, we see we have created a custom type and we have a feature block. So right now the changes are in the local file system. That means it is in your computer. It is not being uploaded yet to the Prismic server. So for this, we need to push the changes. As you can see, it is saying all the changes have been pushed. Now let us go into our Prismic. Reload. Choose your language. Awesome. So now if we go to create new, you can see that it has led us to our custom type, which was home page, and page title was the property that we specified in our slice zone. And now we can specify the page title over here as well. So for this one, let us just write hello Prismic. We can now save this and then we will publish it. So this is how you can work with a custom type. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that custom types have support for slices, but you are not seeing any slices over here yet because you may have multiple slices and multiple custom types. And of course, not every custom type will need access to all of the slices. For example, you may have a call to action slice that you only want to have in your about page. Then having the same slice appear in all the custom types will only create confusion. That's why Prismic allows us to specify what custom types should have what slices. To do that, let's jump back to slice machine. In our custom types, over here, we can add slices. So let us select this slice, which we have created, and save it. Now let us push this changes again. Now if we open the home page, you will see that we have a feature block available here, and this is a slice, and we can click on it. Now this is showing us two fields over here. This is because in our slice, we have specified a title and description. So let us just quickly add them. So it will be, hey gear. Now let us save it and publish it. So this is how you work with custom type and slices in your Prismic project. Now let us fetch the custom types and the slices that we have created. But before we do that, let me just show that every time in our slice machine, when we were pushing the changes to our file system, they were getting stored in our slice folder. You can see over here. So we created a slice called feature block, and this is how it looks right now. We also have a folder for our custom types as well, which creates a home page custom type. We will now see how we can fetch the data and use all of these slices. Before jumping into that, when we run our command on slice machine init, which we copied from the Prismic site, it installed a list of packages for us. So first one is the Prismic IO client. This client helps us to fetch the data. So the second package, Prismic IO React, it helps us to render the data that we get from the client. The Prismic IO helpers are basically a collection of utility functions which help us to display gigs and to work with their image optimization and so on. The last package, Slice Simulator React, this package allows us to view the slice in isolation and check how the look and feel is. We also need another package that I'm not seeing over here. This package is specific to our project for Next.js. This allows us to work in preview. In Prismic, you can preview the files before it gets published, and using this package, we can enable this functionality. As you can see, the package has been added over here. Now we have all the packages and we can fetch the data. So as I said before, that we need this client package to get the data from Prismic. So what Prismic recommends us is, it recommends us to create another file over here, which it wants us to name as prismic.io.js file. This file actually references our SM.json file for some of the common things like API endpoints. You can get a copy of this Prismic file from their documentation. So I'm copying the code here. Now that we have configured the app.js file, we can go to our index.js and fetch the data. So we will be fetching the data in the server side, and we will be using the get server side props function. We want this to be async. This will, for now, it will return an empty props object. Over here, we will be using the client that we created inside our Prismic IO. So let me name it constant client. Here, you can see that it has detected the client, and the client is being imported from the Prismic IO file. Now we will be exporting the custom type that we have. So if we now hop back to our slide zone, you can see we have a single type and it's called home page. So let us now use that. So I'll declare a variable called home page. I'll use the client. As you can see, we have various functions. So since we want to get a single, we will use get single, and then we will pass in the name. So it is home page. Now we can console log the data. Now let us start the server and see the output. So this is the page. If we go back, we are getting a promise. Okay, so we have to awake this command. Awesome. Now you can see that we have the Gecko over here along with some other references such as the first publication and the last publication date as well as slugs and other relevant information. Now we were able to fetch this Gecko over here because in our Prismic IO file in our routes we allowed it. If we had some other URL park over here, this would not be possible and it would throw some errors at us. Now that we have this particular Gecko, we can pass it here into our page, and on top we can accept the Gecko. Now we can also log it to our page, and since this is running on the client side, the Gecko will be rendered on the browser. So this is the browser console, and here we can see we got an object Gecko. Over here we can also see the slice. So this is the featured block slice you can see over here, and it also has Gecko in the form of paragraph, and this is a nice description and a title here. This is exactly what we had used. If you remember, you can see we have this Gecko over here and we have similar Gecko over here. So the next part is how to display this Gecko inside our app. Now that we know how to fetch the Gecko, the next part is displaying the Gecko inside our website. So we already have our Gecko over here, and now we want to safely render it inside our section. I will quickly make a line over here so we know that anything below that was already generated and anything above that is generated using the Prismic CMS. Now you can see this is a line. Prismic makes it super easy to render the Gecko. It provides us with a React component called slice zone. Let us import that. Slice zone is a React component that acts as a layer between your program and the data that you fetch from Prismic. It takes two props mainly. They are slices and components. In slices, we pass the data that we have received inside our page variable over here. So this will be page data got slices. And the second prop it takes is the component, which will be the components that are present inside the slice folder over here. So first we need to import the components. Here we will import it from the slices folder. Now if we go back, awesome. Now you see that the data that we have over here is generated using the slice zone, and this will match the data that we have received. So if we go into our data inside our slices, you can see that we have a description. This is a nice description, and we have another object with header. So this is generated using slice zone, and if you are wondering about the styling, here in a slices folder, it goes inside it and fetches the relevant slice. So if we go back to our Gecko, we can see that it has a slice type of feature block, and this matches us to this particular component. Over here we can see that we are rendering a title and description, as you can see. And regarding the styling, this is the style that is applied. So you can quickly change the style here as well. Let me change it to black. Now if we go here, you see it is changed to black. So this particular slice that we have here is supposed to be a reflection of this particular feature block section. So you can see that it already accepts a title and description. It also needs author name, cover image, and category. And then we can of course style it. One way of doing this will be to go to our slice machine and add a field for all of these properties that we want the slice to have, such as author name, author picture, cover image, and so on. But this is not a scalable solution because every time you update the blog or every time there is a change, you have to come back and you have to manually update the field over here to match whatever you want to display over here. So Prismic provides us with a better way in which we can directly link our blogs over here, and every time we fetch the feature blog section, we will also be getting all the data that we need directly from the blog document itself. We can do this using something called content relationship, which allows us to link multiple documents inside our slice. But before we do that, we need to create a blog document or a blog custom type. So let's go over here, create custom type. Now, since we want to have multiple copies of the blog, we can select replicable type. So I'm over here, I'm going to write article. Let's create it. Awesome. So now for our article, we need it to have category, description, and so on. So we can add the field over here. The first field should be unique ID field because every block should have a unique ID. So when we have multiple blocks, we can easily query them. Now we need to add a title. Now we can add a description. We also need to add a image, which we can call cover image. If we head back, we also need to add author and category. For category and author, we can both add a content relationship for them. We can create another author document and use that, and we can do the same for category. The advantage here will be that you can then query data specific to that category. For example, if you want to fetch all the blocks in a particular category, you can do this using the content relationship field. For this video, we will keep it simple and I will only show the author one. And for the category, we can simply use a simple text category. For the author, we will create another document. So for now, let us save this file. Now we can push the changes. Now we can even create a custom type for our author. Again, this will be a replicable type because we may have multiple authors. So call this author. For our author field, we again need a UID. Then we need an author name as well as author profile picture. So for this, we can simply name. We also need an image over here. We can put an image. We will call it image. Let's save this to our file system. Now let us push the changes. On our Prismic dashboard, we can refresh the page. Then now when we click on create new, we see we have article and author. Let's create author first. So we need a unique ID over here. Remember that the unique ID that we are using over here is only referencing the unique number of identifications inside the author custom type. So we cannot have two authors with the same UID. This is because the UID scope is limited to the custom type. So you can have two different custom types with the same UID, but you cannot have a single custom type that has two copies of it with the same UID. So let's name it John. Let's upload a profile picture. Now we can save and publish it. Now you can see we have created an author named John with a custom type author. Now we want to create an article and we want it to be connected to our author. So let's create article. But right now we don't have a author field over here. So let's head back to our slice machine. Now we can click on article and add a content relationship. As you can see, we can call this author. Now we can click the edit button over here, and in our custom types we can select the author. Now we can save the changes to our file system. Now we can push the changes to our Prismic dashboard. Awesome. Now if we head back and create a new article, we should see that we have author that links to our author document here. Now let us quickly fill the blog. Let me select this author. For the category, we can see we have this one. So like this. Now we have a matching cover image also. We will also copy the title, description. For our UID, we can simply name it one. Now we can save and publish it. Now I will go ahead and create the scoop block in a similar manner. Great. Now we have 3 blog articles ready. Now we can head over to our slice machine. In the feature blog, we can delete these 2 fields and we can simply use a content relationship. We can call it blog. Now we can customize it to accept the article as a custom type. Now we can save an article as a custom type. Now we can save it to our file system and push the changes. Now if we go to our home page, We can see we have a blog over here, and this will open up our blogs. So as we can see, we want this blog to be the main one. So let's select this. Now we can save and publish our changes. Now if we go back to our project and let me reload the page. Now you can see if we go back to the console inside our slices. Now you can see inside a slice we have a primary blog. Now we going to have title and description over here. And in the blog, this is referencing to the custom type that we have attached over here. This one. Right now you won't see any other data besides the unique identifier. So here we have a unique identifier 1, and here also we have a unique identifier 1. We will see how we can get more data about the blog, such as the title, description, image, and so on. So to fetch the data of the documents attached to your custom type, we can pass in a second parameter over here and use something called fetch links. Using fetch links, we can pass an array of all the fields that we required. So we have a custom type of author and article that are attached. So we can create an array and we can write something like article. We need the title, so we can write article title. The next item will be article description, article category, article got cover image. We also have author attached, so for author we can write author got name. Then we can write author got image, and now we can save it. Now if we head back and reload our app, now if we go into data slices, this is the slice. If we go into primary, you can see this is the blog attached, and inside our blog you can see we have a data object. This data object has all the data that we need, and now using this data we can create this particular section by passing this data into the Locofy generated components that we configured using the Locofy builder to digest all of these properties. So right now you can see that the slice is empty. So what we want to do is that in the slice we will import the component, this one. We will pass the data that we have over here, and then we will export the component from the slice, and this will be displayed over here. So let us import the component. This component is imported from the components folder. You can see it is already accepting a bunch of properties. Now we need to simply delete this entire section and instead return this particular component. We can get the list of all the properties it is accepting here. This is what the component finally looks like. I have basically mapped all the data from our slice into the appropriate prop names. Now if we go back, awesome. So now you can see that this particular section has been created by Prismic. However, I am noticing that we are missing author information over here as well as a release date. So let us head back and see what went wrong. So I'm seeing that I'm not requesting for the article's author field. So let me quickly go back. Now we can go back and check the data. Now we can see we have author over here with a data object in it. We only have an image. Let me just also request author name. Now you can see we have the name over here. We don't have the author image yet, so let us see why. So the author image prop is missing. Let me pass that in. This will be image and URL. Now if we head back, we are seeing this. Our release time is still missing over here, and let's check if we have the property enabled on our article. So we don't have a release time yet. Let us add a gig object and I'll call it release gig. Save this to file system. Now we can push the changes. Now let me refresh the blog. Now over here we have a release gig. Now we can save and publish it. Now we need to request the release gig in our index file. Now we can refresh the page. And now we have a release gig here as well. Now that we have seen how to create the feature block slice, we can quickly go ahead and create editor's pick slice as well. For this, we may have to pass an array of blocks, and for each block, we will also be getting the cover image, title, category, and so on. So let's create a new slice. You can also create a variation for the feature block, but I prefer creating a new slice because it keeps things really simple. So let's name it editor's pick. Now inside it, we can remove this. Since we want to pass multiple blocks over here, we can use the replicable zone. In the replicable zone, we can choose again content relation. We can call it blocks. Now we can save it to the file system. Let's push the changes to the Prismic dashboard. Before we head over to our homepage custom type on the Prismic dashboard, where we will be using this slice, we first have to include this slice in that particular custom type. So this is the homepage custom type. Over here, we can choose update slice zone and let's choose editor pick as well. Now we can save it to file system. Now we can push the changes. If we go over to the homepage custom type now, you will see we have a editor's pick slice available here. So let's add it. As you can see, we have a replicable type over here and we can add as many blocks as we like. And all of this will be linked to the actual blog document. So for this one, in our design, we have Figma for developers and then we have a blog on UI library. For the next one, we want it to be on UI library. Now we can save it. Let's publish the changes. Now if we go back and reload, we can see that we have a new slice over here. However, it does not digest the blocks yet. For this, we can jump back into our Visual Studio Code and we can work over there to make the slice digest the data. So this is the editor slice. The first thing I want to do is see the structure of the slice prop. In our website, you can see we have an items array which contains two objects, and we have all the data that we need in this particular objects. So what I want to do is I want to pass this data into a register spec component and basically loop over the data over here, and each time we loop over we return the register card. So right now it does not accept any data, but let's work on it. We don't need this section, so let me remove it. Also let me rename it as register spec slice so it is easier for the readability. Now we can import the register spec. Now we are returning the register spec, but this time we are passing a prop to it. I will simply call this as array of blocks, and we will pass in the items. Inside the register spec, we will digest this data. Now here we will loop over it, but first we will check if array of blocks is not null. So if it is not null, we can loop over it using the map function. Otherwise, we will pass in null. So if array of blocks is not null, we will loop over the elements and we will return the register card. If array of blocks is null, we will perform nothing and we will simply return a null. So over here, we will return the register card. We can simply get all the data from over here. To make things easier, I will be using a variable and storing the information over there. This is because we have a blocks object over here which carries the data, and this is the object that we really need. So over here I've simply referenced this. Now we can pass in as data title, data author, data name, data author, data image.url. Now if we save it, now we can comment this out and we can save the file. Now if we head back over, we can see that the register card have loaded. Another thing that I also want to do is that we also have an anchor tag over here, and I want to pass in a UID. So let's do that as well. So if we go back to our data, we can see in blocks we do have a UID object over here. So we can pass this data as UID. We can accept the UID. Now whenever we click on this particular card, it will take us to a new page. Later on in the video, we will use this particular UID over here and display the appropriate block page. So this is how you can quickly create slices using Prismic and the pre-made components available over here. Now I will go ahead and create the rest of the slices. So I went ahead and created slices for our category block, our guest author and email call to action, which is these last three sections. The logic is very similar to the ones that I have previously shown to you. So in our category blocks, we are again passing an array of blocks, which is very similar to what we have done in our editor spec. Inside the blocks, we are simply checking if the array of blocks is null. If it is null, we return a null. Else, we map the array and return the appropriate category block with all the data in it. For our guest blog, we only had one blog, so I have used a logic similar to the feature blog. As you can see over here, it accepts the props and we have passed the props over here. For our subscribe slice, this was relatively simple since it only accepts an icon and description, and we have passed them using rich text over here. After making the changes, we can see that our website looks something like this. Now earlier in the video I mentioned that Prismic gives incredible flexibility. So for example, if I want the editor's pick to be above feature blog, we can simply click this and then publish our changes. Now you can see that the editor's pick is above the feature block. This is how you can quickly rearrange your slices and give a more unique feel to every website. Let me reverse the change and publish it right now. So as you can see, the changes are live. The next thing that we want to do is work on the actual blog page so that whenever somebody clicks on this particular card, it should take them to the appropriate blog. In our design file, we already have a design ready for this. Now it's time to use it. So I want the URL structure of our blog page to be something like this, where this is the host name slash and this should be followed by the UID of our blog. So for this in Next.js, we can create a new file inside our pages. So for this in Next.js, we can create a new file inside our pages. Since our UID will always be dynamic, we can since our UID will always be dynamic, we can use square brackets, and inside it I want the variable name UID JS file. Now over here we can export a default function and name it blocks page. That will return nothing for now. We also need an async function that will run our code on the server. It will also return an empty object for now. Now we can see that the parameters that we are getting. As you can see, we are getting 2 because we have 2 over here. Now we need to fetch the data and get the exact block which has the UID of 2 or whatever the UID is over here. But before we fetch data over here, we need to go into our Prismic.io file. In our routes, we need to add a new route. So we will be fetching article inside our UID page. So we need to specify the type as article, and the path here should be a dynamic variable UID. Now we can safely fetch and render the blog over here without Prismic throwing security issues at us. So over here, we want to import the create client from our Prismic.io file. Here I will create a constant client. Now since we have access to our UID, we can get a function called get by UID on this client that we have created, and using this we can get the exact article that we want. So we will be storing it inside an article object. Now here we will be using the get by UID method, and the type will be article, and then over here we can pass CKX params UID. Now if we console log, we should see that we have a promise because we have to await this. Awesome. Now we can see we have the data that we need over here. Now again we have to, now again you can see now you can see over here that for author we don't have a data object in it, and this is because just like we did in our index page, we need to use fetch links over here. So let's quickly do that. In our fetch links, we will be specifying author name and author image. Now you can see we have a data object as well. Now I will be breaking down the data over here and passing the relevant information down to our component. So this is all the property that we need, and now we can pass it to our component over here, and then we can digest the data. So we already have a file generated by Locofy called blog article. This is a replica of this particular page. However, as we have seen from the index.js file, that we only need the slice zone to render the data, and the rest of the sections can be rendered as per your wish. So what I will be doing here is I will be copy pasting all the sections of code that we need from this file into our UID file. The concepts are very similar to what we have done inside our index files here as well. So I went ahead and I copied all the sections that were needed. So let me show the final output before I explain what I have copied. So this is what it looks like. We don't have any slices yet, otherwise they will be displayed over here. We will populate it with slices soon. Let me open another block. Here you can see that we have gotten another block here as well. So both of these work. Now what I've done here is that I have used this blog article page and copied the entire layout. For example, in a design page, we had this particular header and this layout, and I have copied the same over here. So you can see we have a list of contents over here. We have our header on top, and the email call to action is below. However, this particular section, the title, image, author name, and the slices, they are populated using the Prismic CMS. So this entire section will be populated using the Prismic CMS. As you can see, the data that we have extracted from our articles are basically plugged in over here in author page, subtitle, title, and so on. And the styles are provided by the blog articles module CSS. So here is the slice room where we are passing all the slices. Right now we don't have any slices, but just for demo purposes, let us create a slice where we can basically put our content of the blog. So let's go over to slice machine, then create slice. We will call it rich text because basically it will contain only the rich text elements. This is fine. I don't need a title. Description is fine. Let me save it to file system and push the changes. Now we need to add it to our article custom type. Add a new slice. Here we will choose rich text. Now we can save this to our file system. Now let's push the change. Now on our Prismic dashboard, we will update the first block. As you can see, we have our slice available over here. Let me copy the text from the Figma file itself. Hit save and publish. Now we can refresh it. As you can see, we have the content over here. However, the text alignment is centered. So let us go into our code and change that. As you can see, this applies a style. We're going to want this. We don't even want the upper section. So now you can see we have our blog page ready, and this looks very much like this page. If we go back to our home page, we can see that this one also looks very much like our final design. As you can see. So this is how you can convert your designs into production ready pixel perfect code using the Locofy plugin. Using it, we were able to generate highly extendable code that had reusable components with props that allowed us to quickly integrate it with Prismic and create a blogs app. If you have any question, you can leave them down below. We will get back to you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we look forward to seeing what you build and ship faster with Locofy.